next class. In today's class, we are going to start with inflorescence. Alright. So first of all, what is inflorescence? See here, the arrangement and distribution of flowers over a plant is called inflorescence. Alright. Do remember, the axis of inflorescence is known as peduncle. Okay. The axis is known as peduncle. Axis of inflorescence is known as peduncle. Alright. Now, let us see the types of inflorescence. Alright. There are various types of inflorescence, out of which mainly we are going to discuss 4: solitary, racemose, cymose and specialized. Alright. So let us start with the first type, that is solitary. Alright. So what is solitary inflorescence? Solitary, the term itself comes from solo. Okay. So solo or lone flowers when blooms in the plant body, that would be known as solitary inflorescence. Like, as per the definition, it goes as such: flowers occurs singly. Okay. They occur singly or are separated from other flowers of the plant by vegetative regions. In both the cases, we'll call it to be a solitary inflorescence. Alright. Now, solitary inflorescence can be again of two types: solitary terminal or solitary axillary. Okay. So again, from the name itself, you can understand or you can get an idea what I'm going to tell you next. Solitary terminal means here the single flower occurs at the tip of the main stem or its branches. Suppose this is the main stem. So see, this being the flower, suppose this is the flower. The flower is present exactly at the tip of the stem or its branches. Alright. So we call it terminal, solitary terminal. Terminal itself means tip or apex. Alright. Example would be poppy. On the other hand, solitary axillary. So axillary means it would be present in the axil, isn't it? So single flowers arise at axil of the leaves. Example would be petunia or shoe flower, that is China rose. Alright. Here you can see from the, if this is the leaf, this being the stem, from the axil arises the flower. Okay. So solitary axillary. Alright. So this being the solitary inflorescence. Next, let us discuss the racemose inflorescence. Alright. So these two are the most important for your exam: racemose and cymose. Alright. Now, let us discuss regarding racemose inflorescence. Okay. Now see, racemose inflorescence has mainly two important points for you to remember. This inflorescence will show indefinite growth. Okay. Why indefinite growth? Because it will have an active growing point. So it will show indefinite growth. Alright. And the arrangement of flowers will be acropetal or centripetal. Acropetal means older towards the base and younger towards apex. Alright. And centripetal means sometimes if the peduncle is going to be, reduced, it does not grow and it would remain reduced, we call it receptacle. Okay. So in the receptacle, mostly the flowers, they cannot be acropetally arranged, right? Older towards the base and younger towards the apex. At that time, they will be centripetally arranged, means older towards the periphery and younger at the center. That's called centripetal arrangement. Alright. So do remember these two important points. In racemose inflorescence, the floral axis will show indefinite growth and the flowers will remain below the active growing point, arranged either acropetally or centripetally. Alright. Now let us discuss the type of racemose inflorescence. Do remember the type of racemose inflorescence can be again here two types: simple and compound. Alright, simple and compound, but mainly for your exam we are going to discuss simple racemose inflorescence. We'll discuss only simple but not the compound one. Alright, so let's see what is simple racemose inflorescence. Alright. So all these types that you're seeing here described, all of these falls under simple racemose inflorescence. So what is simple racemose inflorescence? Simple racemose inflorescence means inflorescence which will show indefinite growth where the peduncle will remain unbranched. Okay, the peduncle will not show any further branching. Alright, that's what is simple racemose inflorescence. Now, simple racemose inflorescence can be of these various types. We start with the simple raceme. So in simple raceme, you can see this is the peduncle, the main axis which will bear the flower, and here these are the flowers. These are the flowers. So the flowers here are arranged acropatally, means it is going to be older towards the base and younger towards the apex. But you can see the flowers are not competing with the terminal bud. Means they are not going to go beyond they are not going to rise beyond the terminal bud. They will always remain below the terminal bud itself. Okay, so do remember this important point about racemose. In racemose inflorescence, the terminal bud will always be acquiring, or the tip will always be acquiring the highest position. The flowers will always remain below it and will never compete with the active growing point. Alright, so simple raceme means unbranched peduncle which bears what? Pedicellate flowers. Flowers with stalk are known as pedicellate flowers because the stalk of the flower is called pedicel. Okay? This is the pedicel. Just like you have learned in leaf, the stalk of the leaf is called petiole, isn't it? Likewise, the stalk of the flower is known as pedicel. So, it is the peduncle with the active growing point, so it shows indefinite growth, and the flowers which are pedicellate flowers, they are arranged acropatally, older towards the base and younger towards the apex. Understood? That kind of arrangement when present, we call it simple raceme. Example is lupine and radish. Understood? Now, next moving to corymb. Okay. In corymb, what is happening, you see, the terminal bud is again at the highest position, right? And below that, the flowers are again acropatally arranged because this is the older flower and these are the younger flowers. These are small, these are larger. So, these are older, these are younger flowers. And you can see older towards the base and younger towards the apex, right? The only difference is that here the flowers are pedicellate and the pedicels of the older flowers are much longer. Because the pedicel of the older flowers are much longer, so what is happening? All the flowers are getting to be at the same level, right? So it is just like simple raceme itself. But then the difference is that here older flowers will have much longer pedicel. So all the flowers will get to remain at the same level. This is what is called corymb inflorescence. Understood? Example is candy tuft. Okay. Next, corymbose. Corymbose inflorescence is going to be a combination of these two. Okay. In corymbose inflorescence, when the inflorescence is in the young state, initially when it is growing. Initially when it is growing, it will remain as a corymb. Means the older flower and younger flowers, all of them will remain at the same level. Fine. But eventually, as the inflorescence will mature, the older flowers, they will not be able to, the pedicel of them will not be able to grow further. Because of that, eventually they will convert into like simple raceme. Now, older flowers and younger flowers, they are not at the same level. Older flowers are at the base, younger flowers are at the apex. Understood? So, what you have to remember in corymbose inflorescence, initially the inflorescence will remain as a corymb. But later on, as the pedicels of the older flowers won't be able to grow further, they now will again convert like a simple raceme. The flowers will now no more be able to remain at the same level. Okay? And they will then scatter in an acropetal manner. Understood? Example is mustard. Fine. Next, umbel inflorescence. All this while we have been talking about acropetal arrangement. arrangement. Now finally we are going to talk about centripetal arrangement. Why? Because in umbel inflorescence, all the flowers will arise from a same point. Okay, from a common point, all the pedicellate flowers. See, these are the pedicels, isn't it? So from a common point, all the pedicellate flowers will arise in a centripetal manner. Means older at, these are the older flowers, older, these are younger. So older flowers will be at the periphery and younger flowers will be at the center. So in umbel inflorescence, what you need to remember? Pedicellate flowers will arise from a common point and older flowers will be at the periphery, younger at the center. Alright, another important point. See here. If you remember the leaf, I think I have already told you regarding stipules, isn't it? At the leaf base sometimes certain lateral appendages are present and they are called stipules. Now in certain flowers at the base of the pedicel, okay, from where the pedicel starts. So at the base of the pedicel or the stalk of the flower remain certain lateral appendages. They are known as bracts. What are they known as? Bract. Okay, bracts. So these flowers which are arising from a common point, they at their base will bear bracts. Okay, and when a flower bears bract, we will call the flower to be bracteate flower. Understood this? We will call it bracteate flower. Now see, because all the flowers are arising from a common point, all the bracts will also remain together in that same point, as if the bracts are arranged in the form of a flower or in the form of a whole, isn't it? So whole of bract is called involucre. So what is involucre? Whole of bract is called involucre. Understood that? Now what you need to remember, that means in umbel inflorescence. Now first thing, umbel inflorescence shows various pedicellate flowers growing from a common point. And the flowers will be centripetally arranged, that means older towards periphery, younger towards the center. Alright. Also the flowers will be bracteate flowers, means they will bear bract at their base. And because all the bracts will remain arranged in the form of a whole, so that's why we will call the whole of bract to be involucre. So presence of this involucre is the main characteristics of umbel inflorescence. Alright. Example is centilla, which you call as Brahmi hak. Okay. Next, moving to spike. Now for spike, first thing that you can notice is that these being the flowers, are the flowers having any pedicel or stalk? No. So finally we have reached the inflorescence where pedicels are absent, and when a leaf do not have petiole, what do we call it? Do you remember the term? It's called a sessile leaf, isn't it? Similar way, if a flower do not bear pedicel, we call it a sessile flower. Understood? So spike inflorescence means, first of all, sessile flowers will be acropetally arranged. See, older flower towards the base and younger flower towards the apex. So sessile flowers will be acropetally arranged below the growing point, and at the base of the flower there will remain the bract. So these are the bract. So bracteate and sessile flowers will remain acropetally arranged below the growing point. That is called spike inflorescence. Is that clear? Example will be bottle brush or callistemon. Okay. Next, spiculate. Now spiculate, if you see the diagram, you can find that these are also bracteate and sessile flowers, just like the spike, isn't it? But it is much shorter in size. So how do you remember spiculate? Spiculate means short spikes. These are short spikes, but then they have a characteristic to themselves. At the base of this spike, this short spike, remains a pair of scales, okay, or which are also called glumes. So spiculates are short spikes with two scales or glumes at their base. Understood? Example will be grass, wheat. Mainly it is going to be a characteristic of Gramini family. It's a family of monocots. Alright. Next. Catkin. Catkin, as you can see, again it resembles the spike, right? But the difference is that it's a much longer spike. So if spiculate is a short spike, catkin is a longer spike. But then it has some characteristics of its own. Usually the catkin would remain hanging from the plant. It will bear unisexual flowers and it will behave as a unit. That means usually the flowers would mature and fall off from the plant body as a unit, as a whole. Alright. Example is mulberry and poplar. Spadix is a very unusual inflorescence. It consists of an outermost bract. Okay, the whole inflorescence actually will remain covered by a colored or sometimes green colored bract, which is known as spathe. Alright, and from the spathe you can only see the fleshy tip of the peduncle. The peduncle is fleshy. The tip of the peduncle is going to be visible from within this covering. Okay. But if you open this covering, if you open up the bract, only then you can see the inflorescence axis. And it is going to look like this. It is going to bear three types of flowers and all are unisexual flowers. Okay. So uppermost flowers will be male flowers, lowermost flowers will be female flowers, and in between remains a few sterile or neuter flowers. Alright, this is a type of inflorescence called Spadix inflorescence. Example is arum and colocasia. Alright, next and the last is Capitulum or Racemose head. Capitulum and Racemose head is a type of inflorescence which shows you can say reduced peduncle or receptacle. Okay, so reduced peduncle or receptacle will allow the flowers not to be acropetally arranged, rather to be centripetally arranged, isn't it? So see, the flowers at the center are the young flowers and towards periphery are the older flowers, and at the base would remain the bracts. That means a whole of bracts, that is involucrate. Alright, example of Capitulum or Racemose head will be sunflower, or it's a characteristic of Compositae family. So interestingly, sunflower is not a single flower, rather it's an inflorescence. Okay, so it's a group of flowers. So if you remember or if you try to recall the sunflower, or if you have seen sunflower closely, you will find that there are two types of flowers there. Towards the outside, the yellow color, this petal-like structure which you feel to be petals, they are actually ray florets. And in the center, the brown minute flowers that are present, they are called the disc florets. So disc florets and ray florets together makes the inflorescence, which is known as Capitulum or Racemose head. Alright, so this is all about Racemose inflorescence. Next we'll move on to cymose inflorescence, but in the next class.